This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to month 4, Effective Copywriting. I'm Elena Rogal. I am your course director this month. I also teach month 12, so you get me at the very end of the program. My background is I started in radio after I got out of college. I worked in radio doing copywriting along with traffic and some on-air work. Then I segued into graphic design, and I spent 20 years working in television. I started at agencies and then I segued into TV. I thought it was a really good way to put my broadcasting background to use with my graphic design background. Out of those 20 years in TV, I spent 14 with PBS, so I am very well schooled in raising money for nonprofits. I'm currently finishing my PhD in text and technology, and I have a bunch of English degrees. So I'm the art director who writes. So I really like writing, and it's kind of like my tagline. I'm the art director who writes, which is what my boss who hired me at Full Sail said, "Oh my God, you're the art director who writes. That's perfect. We need you for this job." So I got hired at Full Sail about, it'll be 10 years in August. I cannot believe it. So I'm working on my PhD right now. I just finished coursework, and I have my candidacy exams in the fall, and I have 90 books that I have to read between now and then. I have a bunch of them already done. But so the point I'm trying to make here is that I get it. I work full time. I go to school practically full time, and right now I have to do it on my own, so I don't have anybody breathing down my neck saying your assignment's due. So I get it. I know how crazy it can be doing the accelerated program here at Full Sail, because I went through the creative writing MFA, and it goes by in a blink of an eye. But then maybe halfway through the program, you might like hit a wall, and it's like it's not new and shiny anymore, but the end's too far away. So I've been through the range of emotions that you guys are going through. So never ever hesitate to reach out to me if you need an extension, you've got something going on, you're struggling with research, you need help with writing, you need whatever you need. I am here to help you be successful this month. So never hesitate to contact me. Okay? So that's what we're going to start with. But what we're going to be doing this month is we're going to be working on testimonial print ads for your nonprofit organization. So the first thing you're going to do is open up that discussion board assignment and go to the Google Doc and choose a nonprofit organization. Choose one that you believe in and one that you can be passionate about, because you're going to spend all month with them. I currently, on top of everything else, I do pro bono work for nonprofits. I'm currently doing some graphic design stuff for Lucky Day Animal Rescue, Colorado. So I know what it's like for nonprofits to not have money, which is why I donate my services and give back that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to create testimonial magazine ads for our nonprofits. And George Felton, who is the author of our fantastic textbook called Advertising Concept and Copy, it is an ebook that you should have gotten a code for in your Full Sail email account. You use that code and download the book into your Vital Source bookshelf. We are using that book every week this month. You're also going to be using it in the courses to come, so make sure you download it right away. If you don't have a code, please contact FSO support and they will get you one right away. So George Felton in our textbook describes the testimonial ad as an ad where someone talks about your product, speaks for your product, like a spokesperson. We've all seen spokespeople before. So they're going to testify to the wonderfulness of your product, your service, your nonprofit organization. So the person that you choose to represent your organization is really important, and they should have a clear tie to it, because you don't want to choose a spokesperson who's too controversial and is going to bring like a negative spin to your nonprofit organization. Because 9 times out of 10, you're trying to raise money for an organization. So you have to think about who you're choosing to be your spokesperson. Then you want to think about the voice and tone of the ad. Are you going to use humor? How serious do you want to go with the ad campaign? You can take a humorous approach. Do you want to just use the power of fact and give people a bunch of facts? We'll go into more depth on the testimonial ads next week. But here's an example of a testimonial ad that I think is a really good one. It's for PETA. and it's Paul McCartney, and he says, "I am Paul McCartney and I am a vegetarian." And then in his voice, you hear him talk about why he is a vegetarian in the body copy and why he thinks it's important that you support PETA as well. So that's kind of how a testimonial will operate. The spokesperson will talk about why they support the product, the service, the nonprofit organization, and you usually hear the body copy through their voice. So this is an example of a student ad for Bright Focus Foundation, and Bright Focus gives resources and support to caregivers of Alzheimer's patients. So this ad was done through the point of view of a caregiver for her dad and how she used to be his little girl, and now she's the stranger who brings him coffee. So she talks about how her dad, got Alzheimer's, and these days he can barely remember who she is. But Bright Focus Foundation helped her deal with everything that she's going through and gave her the resources she needed. So you can hear her voice and her plea through her own personal narrative. Well, like I said, some ads could be humorous. So here's one for the Shelter Pet Project, and this is Einstein the dog. And you can give human qualities to either inanimate objects, or in this case, a dog, by using personification. So Einstein is personified through his voice and tone, where he's talking about how he finally broke in his new owner and everything's going to work out great. And as a result, I'm going to be really happy. So through Einstein's voice, you're hearing his story using a humorous tone because he's talking about how he broke in his owner. Another way to look at personification is through an inanimate object. In this case, it is a shoe. And this was for an ad a student did for Human Rights Watch many, many, many years ago. She decided to create a HRW boutique, and people would donate their gently used items, and the sale of the items, all the proceeds from the sale of these donated items, would then go to the Human Rights Watch campaign. So she used the personification of the shoe to talk about that it's got great news and it's found a new home, and my new place looks great, it's roomy, it's beautiful. After being donated to HRW boutique, my new owner found me and purchased me at a very low price, and all the proceeds go to help Human Rights Watch. So for more information, you too can go to Human Rights Watch Boutique. So go to this web address. So you can see, you can hear all the voice and tone of the people speaking through your ads. So what you're going to be doing this month is something similar to that. You're going to be creating ad concepts and comping up some ads, and we're going to make it like real world, where you're going to submit your ideas. I'm going to give you feedback. You're going to revise your ads and get them ready to go to the magazine to go get printed. So we're going to walk through that whole process this month over the next 4 weeks. But I want to give some background on copywriting. So as you can tell, this is not the R in the circle copywriting that deals with licensing and copyright infringement. That's the R in the circle. You'll learn about that in month 12. But this month, it's all about writing ad copy that sells. So what you're going to do is you're going to create these magazine ads, so you're going to have to write copy for them. So the first thing you want to think about is how your headline operates in a print ad. So I am Paul McCartney. I am a vegetarian. I used to be his little girl. Now I'm the stranger who brings him coffee. Those are headlines. They grab your audience. So you have to think about a headline being that really important key element. It's probably the first thing that someone's going to read. So it conveys the main message, and it works in with synergy with your image. So, everything makes sense. So it grabs that reader's attention and pulls them in, because what you want to do is then convince your reader in your body copy to support your organization or buy your product. So a headline can offer something new. Maybe it promises a benefit. Remember, not features. Every product, every service, every nonprofit organization has features. That's what they do. They have features that maybe it's like, we save animals, we give you resources. It's the benefits that the organization or the product or the services, it's that benefit that separates them from the pack. So maybe your headline is really focusing in on the benefit of supporting your animal charity over another animal charity. Your headline could also be used to arouse curiosity. See, there's two different types of headlines. There is a direct action headline. These are like really to the point. They kind of tell you exactly what to do from the outset. So they command you. They're going to tell you what they're all about. So you don't have to really think about it. It's just going to grab your attention, and you're automatically going to hopefully go into the body copy and then take it a step further. With indirection headlines, they might not be as obvious because they're not as straightforward as to identifying what the ad is about. So they're a little bit more intriguing. Maybe they present a puzzle, or ask a question, or make something like, what? I don't understand this. I have to read more. So that's exactly what happened to me with this ad. This is from my swipe file, and I'll talk a little bit about swipe files later. But when I see great ads, I always like grab them. If I'm on the internet, I put them in my Pinterest page. If I'm at a dentist's office and I see a cool ad, I will quietly rip it out and stick it in my purse. And I get a lot of magazines. So I have swipe files that are electronic, and I have a physical swipe file that has all my stuff that I've ripped out of magazines and direct mail pieces and such. But I came across this ad and I was like, what do you mean you are not a pet? Of course you're a pet. You're a cat. Why are you smirking and saying I am not a pet? I was so intrigued by this headline that I had to read the body copy. And the body copy sold me on why he is not a pet. He's not a pet because pets just get food. They get pet food. He's a member of the family because he gets fed Iams cat food, and he gets hugs and kisses, and his owner loves him, and these owners don't hold back. They give him what he needs, and that's through Iams cat food. So I thought, okay, you're not a pet. You're a member of the family. I totally get that. But that's how you want to grab an audience member's attention, is by saying something to them that arouses curiosity or tells them exactly what you need. Like, please save these puppies. People are going to want to save puppies. So you're going to, go into your body copy and explain why they should save puppies. So with headlines, what you want to think about is how, if you're thinking about your advertising dollar, 5 times as many people are going to read the headline as read the body copy. So when you've written your headline, you want to think about how you've spent 80 cents out of your dollar just by having that headline. So your headlines are really important, because if you don't grab them with the headline, there's a good chance that they're not going to read the body copy. And the body copy of a print ad is where you're doing the selling. So with the nonprofit organizations, this is where you're telling the reader who the organization is, what they do, and why they need the reader's help. So with body copy, I'm going to talk about David Ogilvy, who's kind of considered the godfather of advertising. And he wrote this book on advertising. And he has these 7 tips for writing copy that sells. He said, first, you have to go big or go home. Always create a compelling argument. So as you're drafting your body copy for your nonprofit organizations, focus in on their mission statement. Dig around their website. See what they specialize in. And choose something that is really going to resonate with your target audience. Because you're going to be asking them to either, raise awareness for the nonprofit by calling attention to them, or by having a direct ask by asking for funds or money so that your fundraising campaign will be successful. So you need to create a compelling argument. And with the nonprofit organization, that's always going to start with their mission statement, because that's the heart of who they are. So you want to do your homework. You need to understand who you're writing to. So who is it that you're writing this ad copy for? How does that person think, and what is it that that person needs? So some of the projects we're doing in week 1 and 2 are going to help you with this. We're going to do a discussion board this week on the psychology behind advertising, so that you know how advertising kind of connects with people. And then next week, we're actually going to develop target audience profiles. So to understand how to write good copy, you need to understand who you're writing it to. So who is your audience? Once you decide you know who your audience is and you've done this research, you want to make sure your copy doesn't talk down to them. You're not condescending. You're not being too smart alecky or know-it-all. You want to make sure that you're speaking to your target audience member with respect, especially when it comes to nonprofits. Don't expect that they're going to know everything about your nonprofit. So you want to make sure that your argument is clear and concise, but you want to make sure it's in the right voice and tone. And like I said before, the headline is basically 80% of your dollar. So you have to write that strong headline so that it pulls your readers in to read the body copy, because that's where you're going to be making the sale. So it's really important in your body copy for your testimonial ads that you don't get distracted from making that sale. If you need to raise money for your nonprofit organization, you're going to tell your audience who the organization is, what they do, and why they need the audience help. For example, we need you to make a donation today so that we can save more puppies tomorrow. I use puppies a lot. I don't know, maybe because we have a crazy American Eskimo here at the house who I'm surprised hasn't barked yet. So you want to make sure when you're dealing with like products that you're explaining why they should buy your product instead of the competition. Same with nonprofits. Why should they support Red Rover and not the ASPCA? So why is this nonprofit more important than the others? Why should they be interested? Why should they donate to yours and not to theirs? Why should they buy it from you, not from them? So you want to build trust with testimonial ads and spokespeople specifically. They have to be trustworthy. So you want to make sure you're building that trust with your audience. So your body copy may be short, but great copy takes time, and it doesn't matter if it's short, every single word counts. So you have to craft your language, craft it so that your audience really connects with it so that they understand. Okay, so here's an example of an ad that I thought had both an intriguing headline and some really good body copy. To give you some context, up until a few years ago, the flat-fronted old Volkswagen buses were still being produced in Brazil, even though they stopped being produced here in the United States in the 80s. They were still making them in Brazil. So because you can't put an airbag in a flat-fronted Volkswagen bus, they couldn't make them anymore. So they decided that they were going to go out of production, but they wanted to give it some fanfare because these Volkswagen buses are kind of iconic. So keeping in step with the brand voice and what they do, they wanted to unintroduce the Volkswagen bus, and it soon would be at no dealerships near you. So that's really important. Why did the copywriter choose unintroducing the Volkswagen bus and soon at no dealerships near you? That's kind of intriguing, and the bus is kind of driving off into the distance. So this ad intrigued me, and I read the copy, and it's all about creating a community space where people can share their stories about their adventures in their Volkswagen buses. And you could share pictures and tell your story and talk about, like, we've gone to music festivals in them. So they wanted to hear these stories. So I thought this was a really intriguing way. And why did that copywriter, I kept thinking, why were they unintroducing the Volkswagen bus and soon it would be at no dealerships near you? Why did they say those specific words and not, no more buses, see ya, or the bus is no longer being produced because we can't fit an airbag in it? They specifically went on this idea that they were going to unintroduce the bus, but they still wanted to hear your stories. So paying attention to your concise language is going to be really important this month. Speaking of this month, let's look at the course at a glance. So everything we do this month, there's projects each week, and they all build on each other. So for example, in week 1, you're going to start with the discussion board assignment, because that's where you're going to choose, oops, I didn't mean to do that, choose your nonprofit organization. So start with the discussion board because your initial post is due Wednesday, and I'll talk about the discussion board for a second. With Settle and Alric's 15 catalog of needs, you're going to understand how the psychology of advertising works by exploring these 15 needs that Settle and Alric developed from Maslow's hierarchy. So let me go to the assignment real quick. That's here. Okay. So the 15 catalog of needs are listed right here, the bullet points on the platform, and they are defined as to what each one is. It comes right out of the textbook, so it's in the Felton textbook if you want to read more about it. It's on pages 24 to 26. So what you're going to do is you're going to examine ads of your competition for your nonprofit organization. So you're going to do some reading about this, understand your 15 catalog of needs, and then what you're going to do is you're going to find 2 print ads from the competitors for your nonprofit organization. So let's pretend we're doing Puppies Are Us, and I need to figure out who their competition is. Well, it's most probably going to be the Humane Society and the ASPCA. So I need to find ads of those. So let me do a quick Google search here. I'm going to put in my Google search bar nonprofit. Actually, I'm going to do animal. I'm going to be specific. Animal nonprofit print ad images. I'm going to Google that term. And what's going to happen under images? You're going to get a ton of animal nonprofit print ads. Now remember, a print ad is going to have a headline, maybe some body copy, a call to action. It is not a web graphic like this. It is an ad like this. So you're going to be, looking at the shelter project and understanding the ad. Oops, did the wrong thing. That's a magazine headline. Sorry. Okay. So you want to make sure that your ad has some body copy in it, because you're going to be looking at how they're talking to your target audience as your competition, because these are the people that you're going up against as you're trying to raise money for your nonprofit. So go into the internet, or if you have magazines at home, look for some ads, and then look at those ads through the lens of these 15 catalog of needs, and how does that ad touch on me, at me as the reader. So here I have an example down here from Pasadena Humane Society and SPCA, and I talk about exactly how the ad operates and how it touches through nurturance, and I describe what it means. You always want to, this is a really good point I want to make, when you're writing a rationale and you're talking about something specific and it's coming from the reading that you're doing, in this case, the pages 24 through 26 in the Felton book. If you're saying it's nurturance and it's the need to provide care for others and to have and protect, that's a direct quote from Felton. So you want to make sure you go in and use Felton's words to back up the category that you are defining. It's really important that we see you using the research that we provide to help you develop your rationales, because if you make up a rationale that's just based on unsubstantiated claims, then that's not graduate level writing. We want to see you always support your arguments using secondary sources in the form of the research 9 out of 10 times that we have provided for you. So if you don't have the textbook right away, you can see right here there is a PDF of the chapter 3 if you need to use it. But download your book, and if you don't have it, get to it. So you're going to find 2 ads. You're going to tell me which of these categories it fits into. Every single piece of advertising out there fits into more than 2 categories. So the bare minimum should be 2 categories, but fit it into more and explain why they fit into those categories, okay? Then you're going to embed the ads into the discussion board and explain by writing your rationale how they fit into more than one category. And then that's by Wednesday of this week. So you need to go start, choose your nonprofit, go out and find your ads, do the reading, and write your rationales. Get them in the discussion board by Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. And then by Sunday, come back and respond to 3 classmates' posts. You're going to look at their ads and put them into categories that they might not have thought of, okay? So that's the first thing we're doing. Let me go back to my course at a glance. So the advertising, the discussion board on the Settle and Alrich's 15 catalog of needs and how advertising operates is going to help you in the future, because in week 2, you're going to start developing your concepts and your ads for your testimonial ads and doing revisions. So understanding how ads operate is going to help you. In week 3 and 4, you're going to be writing a research paper about your campaign. So the Settle and Alrich 15 catalog of needs can help you with your research paper, but I'll talk about the week 3-4 research paper later. This week you are writing a small essay. It's on voice and tone, and it's actually not too long. It's like 1,000 words. So let me go back for week 1, mastery. Okay. So what we're doing is we're giving you advertising and concept and copy. That's why I said you need the book. You're reading chapter 9. Everything you need is in chapter 9. It's all about establishing voice. So one of the questions here is, in what ways can copywriting establish a brand's voice? And identify and describe some of the keys for writing copy that effectively communicates the features and benefit of an institution's products to the intended audience. So out of these 3 bullet points, 2 of them come straight from the advertising concept and copybook. This is a persuasive essay that has to have a minimum of 750 words up to 1,000, and that doesn't include the title page and your reference page. It's the paper itself. There's no abstract for this paper because it's 1,000 words or less. So you're going to read the resources that we give you down here, which is Advertising and Concept and Copy, Chapter 9. Then download this ad, What is Copywriting and How is it Important for a Designer by Daniel Adams. And then you're going to examine 10 strategies to help designers conquer a fear of writing by Tim Lapatino, and use all 3 of these in your arguments as you develop your essay around these 3 bullet points. So these are your writing prompts. So this is, I have a bunch of English degrees. I've written hundreds of papers. As I'm preparing for my candidacy exams, I'm writing pretend papers just so that I stay in the habit of it. So when there's writing prompts, what you want to do is you start your reading with these writing prompts in front of you so that you're reading with intention. If you're talking about establishing a brand's voice, as you're reading the Chapter 9 in Felton, make notations of where he talks about establishing a brand's voice and use those direct quotes in proper APA style in your paper. Okay, so I would, if I were you, take these 3 bullet points and print them out on a piece of paper so they're in front of you as you read, and that you make sure that you're writing to each of these 3 bullet points in 750 to 1,000 words. This is due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And this will help you as we move forward through the course, because you're going to be developing voice and tone for your testimonial ads. And in that campaign research paper at the end of the month, you're going to be talking about how you develop voice and tone. So the research you do in week 1 is going to help you for the paper in week 4. Okay, headlines that inspire. This is a fun assignment because it's going to help you build your swipe file. Like the cat ad where he is not a pet, and like the Volkswagen ad that I showed a little while ago, those are in my swipe file. A swipe file is anything that inspires you as a designer and or a copywriter. So my swipe file is filled with examples of good copywriting, examples of really cool ad layouts, intriguing fonts. Maybe there's some really interesting photo manipulation going on. Maybe there's really strong body copy, but my swipe file is filled with either electronic or physical pieces that I can use for inspiration for those days when I cannot write my way out of a paper bag. And swipe files are really important for that. So you're going to be developing a swipe file that is not going to be turned in, but it is something that you can use throughout the month to inspire you, and you can keep developing it as you go through the program, because the more examples you have to inspire you, the stronger a designer you will be, because it keeps you on top of what's going on out there in the ad world. So we're going to find 5 ads with 5 strong headlines and describe how they work. So let me go to that assignment. I can go right over that real quick. Okay. So down here, I give you some a headline writing basics PDF that gives you all you need to write strong rationales about your headlines and to help you write headlines next week with your testimonial ads. So use this PDF, find your 5 ads out there that have really strong, effective headlines. They're usually something that you read and it pulls you into the body copy. Like you can't just turn the page or click past it. There's something really intriguing about it. Make sure they're print ads. Make sure the headline is really strong, because you're going to talk about why that headline works. You're not talking about the typography. You're not talking about the design. You're not talking about the layout or the photograph or anything but the words themselves. You're going to focus in on why the ad says something like they're unintroducing the Volkswagen bus and soon it will be at no dealership near you. This is going to give you some really good examples of how headlines operate, so that next week when you're writing headlines and drafting your copy for your testimonial ads, you'll have a really good idea of how headlines operate. So that is due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So in week 2, we're going to develop 6 concepts and 3 comps from the 6 concepts for our first ideas about our testimonial ads. They're going to be based on the target audience that we develop in week 2. I'll go over more of that next week. In week 3, we're going to revise those 3 ad comps that we did in week 2 and finalize them as if we're giving them to the client for that final signature so that you can send it to the publication. In week 3, we're also going to learn about tagline writing and how taglines operate. Taglines are not headlines. They're 2 different things, so don't use those terms interchangeably. Taglines are basically the essence of the brand. It's usually that little slogan that sits next to the logo. So when I say Nike, you think just do it. So that's a tagline. So we're going to be learning those and doing a really cool writing workshop with taglines. Then in week 4, you're going to write your campaign research paper. It opens in week 3, but it's not due till Sunday of week 4. But you'll hear me say this probably 40 times between now and week 4. Get started on it early. Don't leave it till the last minute because it's an 8 to 10 page paper, so you want to make sure you have time to write all those pages. But it is about your campaign, and it is about everything that you've already done right here in the first 3 weeks. So you've written about voice and tone, you've written about Settle and Alric, you know what the ads look like because not only did you design them, you've revised them, you know who your target audience is. So the campaign research paper in week 4 is really just putting that all together because it's a really good way to prepare you for a client pitch. When you go into a client meeting and you're answering, say, a request for proposal for testimonial ads for a nonprofit organization, you want to walk into that client pitch meeting as the smartest person in the room when it comes time to pitch your campaign. You have to have every question answered before it's even asked. So the campaign research paper is a really good way to consolidate your ideas so that you're prepared when you go into a client pitch. So that's why we're doing that. We're going to finish up the month by discussing the process of developing the testimonial ads for your nonprofit organization, and that's going to go in your mastery journal. So yes, it's the writing class, and there's a lot of writing, but we're going to have some fun. When you develop the target audience profiles, people have a lot of fun with that assignment. They usually do really well because you're really creating these people. So you're getting really super creative with their stories and kind of walking me through a day in the life. We're going to do some design work by digging down into print development and using InDesign. We're going to write copy. We're going to examine good copy. So this month is meant to pick up where the branding class left off and prepare you to go into the design research class in month 5. Okay, so that's what's going on this month. And again, the assignments are the first thing you need to work on is the discussion board with Settle and Alric's 15 catalog of needs. Use the Google Doc link to pick your nonprofit. Research your competition and get 2 ads that represent that competition and get your initial post up and in the board by the discussion board by Wednesday, your 3 reply posts by Sunday. Your persuasive essay, the mastery research paper, is due Sunday at 11:59 p.m. It is an APA style research paper. If you struggle with APA, I don't know if anybody showed you this, but I'm going to launch Microsoft Word and give you a quick, well, as quick as Microsoft will open on a Mac, which is not very fast ever. Okay, so to do a really easy formatting template for APA, you want to go under File, New from Template, and when this comes up, you see all these templates here. There is one called APA Style Paper. Pop that open. So you can use this template, do a save as, and save it as the title of your paper, your last name, first name, research paper. And then all you have to do is go in here and type over what's here. So your title page is here, your running head is here. If you double click on this, you can put your title of your paper up here. You can get rid of the author's note. We don't need it. Hold on, let me close the header and footer. Page 2 has these table of contents. Just delete that. You don't need a table of contents. You don't need the abstract for this paper, but you will need it for week 4. So that's why I say use this template because you're going to be doing 2 different length papers. So then here's where your paper starts. It's going to start for this persuasive essay on page 2. So make sure your title is here. Then start your paper, and it's telling you exactly what to do here. If you want to use headings, they're here. It tells you how to use headings. Then at the end on page 3, it gives you the reference page, which is, the last page of your paper. Remember, it's last name, first year, name, year, article title, journal title, book title, pages if you need them, publisher name, city name. So make sure your paper is in proper APA style, and the easiest way to do that is to use this template. It's in the right typeface. It's already got the margins set up, so you're good to go. One thing you might want to do is after the reference page, go in here and delete everything that's on pages 4 to the end, because you don't need the tables, you don't need the pictures, you don't need anything here. So your template is now 3 pages, okay? So you're writing 750 to 1,000 words, so make sure you use this proper APA style in this template. Okay. Let's talk a minute about brand voice and tone, because we are going to be doing that in the research paper. So it's really important that you understand what brand voice is and the difference between the brand voice and the tone. So brand voice is referring to that personality or the emotion that is inside of that brand, that company's communication, all has that same sound and feel to it. So when you're reading something, say from Starbucks or REI, the voice that is in their brand resonates throughout all their pieces. So voice describes the company's personality. It's always consistent. It doesn't change. It's true to the brand. So that essence of the brand is where the brand voice is going to sit. The tone is the emotional inflection that's applied to your voice. So it depends on what you're doing. So if you're doing an annual report for REI, it's going to have the voice of the brand in there, but the tone of the annual report may be a little bit more serious than, say, a web ad for their kayak sale. So while the brand voice remains the same, the tone of the actual piece that you're designing may differ. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear. So again, the assignments are the discussion board Wednesday, reply posts, initial post Wednesday, reply post Sunday, mastery research paper on Sunday, and then the headlines that inspire with 5 strong headlines and 5 rationales from your swipe file. What I didn't say about the headlines project is you can include the thumbnails of the ads if you want, but if you don't include the thumbnails of the actual ads, then I need you to type out the headline so that I can understand your rationale. Okay. So remember, you're not writing about typography or images or layout, only the words themselves, and that project is due Sunday. So if you find you've gotten everything done and you want to get started on week 2, maybe on the tutorials, that assignment for week 2, the Mastery Learning Project, is open now. It is not due till the end of till Sunday of week 2. So, but if you want to get started, I always open it up early. If you have any questions about anything I covered tonight, you can reach me through the FSO platform, which is probably the best way to do it, because then your question's in writing and my answer is in writing, and that way you can refer to it. Or you can use my Full Sail email address, call me during office hours, which are posted on FSO, or use the Google Voice number. Again, the FSO platform is the best way to stay in touch. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to just reach out. I would rather you ask me a bunch of questions than try to figure it out on your own and get frustrated and then, not be able to do your best work. So always reach out to me. I'm here to help you guys really get through this month.